There is a kind of invisible that is different from being lost. Lost means no one knows where you are, but invisible means they are looking right at you and they cannot see what is there. Chosen one, I want to ask you something today. Not how you are doing on the outside, not how things look from a distance. I want to ask about the inside, the part of you that has been sitting in a quiet place, not by choice, but because the world around you has not been able to hold the full weight of who you are. You have had that feeling, haven't you? The feeling that something in you is waiting to be found, not waiting to be understood, not waiting to be celebrated, just found. And what I want to say to you today, before anything else, is this: you are not lost. You are hidden. And there is a difference between those two things that changes the entire story of where you are right now. Chosen one, I am not going to tell you to have more faith today. I am not going to give you a 5-step strategy for getting out of the season you are in, because what you are carrying right now is real. The weight of it is real. The quiet of it is real. And I think you already know that what you are feeling is not something everyone around you can hold. You have tried to explain it to the friend who listens but cannot quite reach it, to the family member who means well but fills the silence with advice, when what you needed was presence. You have sat in rooms full of people and still felt the specific ache of carrying something alone. There is a particular kind of loneliness that has nothing to do with how many people are around you. It is the loneliness of carrying a depth that the people in your current season were not designed to hold. And I want you to hear this clearly, not as an accusation of the people around you, but as a revelation about you. It was never that you were too much. It was that they were not equipped to carry what God marked you with. And here is what I know about God. He does not leave things of great value unattended. He does not place something rare in a person's soul and then abandon them to carry it alone forever. He hides his most valuable things in the quietest places, not to forget them there, but to protect them until the right hands are ready to hold them. You have been hidden, chosen one, not abandoned, hidden. And I believe with everything in me that God sent this message to you today, because he is about to speak 4 words that will change the way you see your season. I am sending someone. If you are still here, if this message found you in a quiet place today, I need you to do something right now. Type "I am hidden" in the comments. Not because it helps the algorithm, though it does, but because I want heaven to see that there is a chosen one sitting exactly where you are sitting right now, who is awake, who has not given up, who knows that being hidden is not the same as being forgotten. Type "I am hidden" and keep watching, because what God is about to say next is what you have needed to hear for longer than you know. Let me describe a moment that I think you know by heart. It is a quiet evening, maybe a Friday, maybe a Sunday night when the week is about to start again. You are lying in bed or sitting on your couch and you pick up your phone, not because you are looking for anything in particular, but because the silence in the room has gotten too loud, and you start scrolling, and within 30 seconds, you see it. Someone's announcement, someone's celebration, someone's relationship reveal, the kind where they are laughing in a photo, and the caption says "finally," and there is this thing that happens in your chest. Not jealousy exactly. It is something quieter than jealousy. Something that sounds like, "Why not me? When is it my turn? What is wrong with me that this has not happened yet?" And then you put the phone down and the silence comes back, but now it is heavier than it was before. Chosen one, I know that moment. I am not going to tell you to be more grateful. I'm not going to tell you to stop scrolling. I am going to tell you something that changes what that moment means. That ache in your chest when you see someone else's finally, that is not evidence of failure. That is evidence of promise. You do not ache for things you were never meant to have. You ache for things that were designed for you and have not arrived yet. The ache is the signal, not the sentence. And the God who put that ache in you knows exactly what it is pointing toward. There was a man who understood the hidden season better than almost any writer of the last century. His name was C.S. Lewis, Oxford professor, Christian apologist, the man who wrote Narnia for children and Mere Christianity for everyone who had stopped believing. A man who had lost his mother as a child, who had walked through the trenches of war, who had prayed in the dark and waited in the silence, and who came out the other side, not with easy answers, but with something far more valuable. He came out with honesty, and in his personal letters written not for publication, but to his closest friend Arthur Greaves, Lewis wrote something that I've returned to again and again. He was writing about a season of his own life that felt like nothing but interruption, days that seemed to go nowhere, waiting that had no clear horizon, a life that felt like it was on hold, while the world moved without him. And in the middle of that season, he wrote this: "The great thing, if one can, is to stop regarding all the unpleasant things as interruptions of one's real life. The truth is, of course, that what one calls the interruptions are precisely one's real life." Read that again. What one calls the interruptions are precisely one's real life. Chosen one, the waiting room you have been sitting in is not the hallway before your life begins. It is your life. Right now, in this season, in this quiet, in this hiddenness, God is not pausing your story. He is writing it, and everything you are learning in this place, every layer of depth being built in you, every piece of patience being forged, every moment of surrender being practiced, is not delay. It is content. It is the material that the next chapter is made of. And the person God is sending to find you will recognize the depth this season created in you, because they will carry a depth of their own. Now, I want to tell you something about what God sees when He looks at your hidden place. God does not operate by visibility. The world promotes what is visible. The world rewards what is loud and presented and packaged. But God is not looking for that. He is looking for what has been prepared. And there is a promise in the book of Isaiah, chapter 40, verse 31, that was written not to people who were thriving. It was written to people in exile, people who had been waiting for centuries, people who were asking the same question you are asking: has God forgotten me? And Isaiah, the prophet, stood in the middle of that desolation and said, "Those who wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint." But here is what I want you to notice. The promise is not that the waiting ends immediately. The promise is that something rises in you while you wait. Mounting up with wings does not look like leaving the season. It looks like something changing inside of you while the season still holds. A clarity that was not there 6 months ago. A peace that does not match your circumstances. A quiet confidence in who God made you to be, even when the world has not yet confirmed it. That is the eagle beginning to rise. You may still be in the cave, but inside the cave, something is growing wings. Let me tell you what wings look like before they are visible. Before an eagle can fly, there is a season inside the egg, dark, confined, completely invisible to the outside world. And if someone opened the egg too early, because the shell looked like a prison, the eagle would die. Not because the eagle was weak, because it was not yet finished. Chosen one, the shell is not your enemy. The shell is the boundary God placed around the most vulnerable stage of what He is making. The people who could not hold your depth, they were not cruel. They were just the wrong hands, reaching for a shell that was not ready to open. And the silence you have been sitting in, the kind that feels like nothing is happening, is the sound of God finishing something that requires more time than you expected and more darkness than you wanted. But inside that darkness, something is forming. Something is being shaped with a precision that only invisible seasons can produce. Something that will terrify every version of you that was willing to settle for the mud pies. Something that will shock the room that once went quiet when you walked in. Not because you changed who you are, but because you finally became all of who you always were. And now I want to show you what God does when the hidden season is ready to open. In 1 Kings chapter 19, the prophet Elijah sat under a broom tree, exhausted and alone and done. He had just called fire from heaven. He had just outrun a chariot. He had just won one of the great spiritual victories in Israel's history. And immediately after, he ran. He hid in a cave. He said to God, "It is enough. Take my life." And what did God do? He did not thunder at Elijah. He did not rebuke him for hiding. He did not tell him to get up and perform. He sent an angel with bread and water. He said, "Get up and eat, because the journey is too great for you." And then God met Elijah at the mouth of the cave, not in the earthquake, not in the fire, not in the wind, in the still small voice, in the whisper. And then he asked Elijah a question. "What are you doing here?" Chosen one, I want you to hear that question the same way Elijah heard it. Not as accusation, not as disappointment, not as God asking why you have been hiding, but as an invitation. God is asking you that same question today. Not because He does not know where you are. He knows exactly where you are. But because He is about to answer it. Chosen one, we are now halfway through this message. And if you are still here, if you have made it this far without closing the tab, without deciding this does not apply to you, I need you to do something right now. Type, "I'm still here" in the comments. That is your declaration, not just to the algorithm, not just to me, but to heaven. It is you saying, "I have not given up. I am still in the waiting room. I am still trusting the one who put me here. I am still believing that the still small voice is closer than the silent sounds." Type, "I'm still here," and keep watching, because what God is about to say about who He is sending is the reason this message found you today. There is one more thing C.S. Lewis wrote that I need to bring to you today. And this one he did not write in a letter. He wrote it in a novel called Till We Have Faces. Lewis called this his most personal book, his most honest book, the one he had been working toward for decades before he had the courage to write it. It came out of a season in his own life, when the sky had gone quiet, when he had prayed and the heavens said nothing back, when he was not sure that God was listening, or if He was listening, whether He cared. Lewis was not writing theology in that book. He was writing confession. And in the middle of that confession, in the voice of a character who had spent her whole life crying out to the gods and hearing nothing, he wrote this: "I know now, Lord, why you utter no answer. You are yourself the answer. Before your face questions die away." Read that one more time. You are yourself the answer. Not a message, not an explanation, not a breakthrough or a sign or a vision. God Himself, just God, is the answer. Chosen one. Do you understand what Lewis is saying? He is saying that the silence you have been sitting in is not empty. It is full. It is full of a presence that is so complete, so total, so overwhelming in its fullness, that when you finally see it face to face, every question you were carrying will fall away. Not because the questions were answered, but because the one who is the answer will make the questions irrelevant. The silence is not what you think it is. The weeks when God goes quiet are not the weeks He steps back. They are the weeks He is finishing something. And what He finishes in silence is always what will be too strong to break in the open. A tree does not grow in a storm. It grows in the quiet seasons, when the roots go deeper than anyone can see. And right now, in your hidden place, while the world scrolls past, and the celebrations keep happening, and the rooms keep filling with voices that are not yours, God is growing something in you that the noise of the world would have destroyed before it was ready. The silence is the soil, and what is growing in you is precisely what the one He is sending will be able to recognize. So let me tell you what God is doing on the other side of your silence. He is sending someone, not randomly, not as an afterthought, not because you finally did everything right, but because the season of preparation is completing, and God does not leave things prepared with no one to find them. Let me be honest with you for a moment. I know what the enemy has been whispering in the quiet seasons. He has been saying, what if no one comes? What if the season ends and you are still standing in the same place? Older, more tired, more certain that you misread everything. What if the waiting was just waiting and there was never a promise attached to it? I need you to hear something before we go any further. That voice, that whispering that sounds like reason, is not God's voice. God does not speak in the language of abandonment. God does not plant a calling in you and then watch it die unmet. God does not let the hidden season run forever with no resolution. What He starts, He finishes. What He promises, He delivers. What He hides, He reveals. And the voice that told you the promise expired, that voice has been wrong about every single chosen one. Whoever sat where you are sitting now, Elijah sat in a cave and said, "It is enough." David hid in a wilderness for years. Joseph spent a decade in a prison he did not deserve. And not one of them was forgotten. Not one of them waited beyond the purpose of the wait. Not one, and neither will you. So whatever the enemy said, in the quiet hours of this season, refuse it. Refuse it right now, because what is coming is not what the silence has been telling you. What is coming is what God promised, and He is about to say so. In the book of Lamentations, chapter 3, verses 25 and 26, Jeremiah wrote from the ruins, not from a place of abundance, not from a mountaintop, from the ashes of everything that had fallen apart. And in the middle of the desolation, he stopped. He remembered something, and he wrote, "The Lord is good to those who wait for Him, to the soul who seeks Him. It is good that one should wait quietly for the salvation of the Lord. It is good that one should wait quietly. Chosen one, the waiting has been quiet, painfully quiet sometimes." But Jeremiah is telling you something from the ruins. The quiet waiting is not wasted. God is good to those who do it. He is watching the ones who keep trusting in the silence, and His goodness does not delay past the right moment. Imagine a search party moving through the territory of your calling, not hurrying, not panicked, moving with purpose. People with lanterns, walking in the direction of your specific hiding place. Sent not because you were lost, but because you were found a long time ago, and they are finally arriving. That is what God is doing right now. He is not scrambling to locate you. He has always known where you are. He is sending the ones who are ready to walk the exact road that leads to where you are. And here is what I want you to know about the person He is sending. They will not need you to perform. They will not need you to shrink. They will not need you to explain the depth that everyone else has found intimidating. They will recognize it, the way one musician recognizes another, across a room full of noise. Not because of what was said, but because of what was present. They will sit in the silence with you and not rush to fill it. They will ask the questions that go deep enough to touch what God actually placed there. They were not designed to be impressed by the surface. They were designed by God to be the right hands for what He has been keeping safe in you. Let me tell you what this person will not do. They will not ask you to apologize for your quietness. They will not look at your scars and ask why you had to fight so hard. They will look at them and know that you survived. They will not try to edit the parts of you that are heavy because they have walked through their own valleys. They know that the things that weigh the most are often the things that matter the most. They will not be intimidated when you do not fit into the conversation of the room. They will not try to pull you back to the surface. When God is trying to take you deep, they will not say you are too much because they themselves are full of what God has done. They are not sent to change your story. They are sent to share it. They are not sent to explain the silence. They are sent to walk through it with you. Chosen one. I need you to stop for one moment. If everything I have said so far has been landing in a place in your spirit that says, yes, this is real, this is for me, I want you to make a declaration right now. Not for me, not for engagement metrics, for heaven. Type, "Send them, Lord," in the comments. It is a prayer. It is a declaration. It is you saying to God, I believe you. I believe the season is completing. I believe you are faithful to send who you promised to send. And I am here. I am ready. Type, "Send them, Lord," and keep watching, because what God says next is the word that will carry you through every quiet day that remains. Chosen one, I need to say something to you now that I do not think anyone else has said to you in this season. You were never too much. Let me say that again, not as encouragement, not as a motivational phrase, as a theological statement. You were never too much. The conversations that went quiet when you spoke your real thoughts, the rooms that shifted, when you walked into them carrying your full self, the people who pulled back when they felt the weight of what lives inside you. None of that was about you being wrong. All of it was about them encountering something they were not equipped to carry. And here is the thing about things too heavy for the wrong hands. They do not belong in the wrong hands. That is not failure. That is protection. God has been protecting what He placed in you from being handed to people who are not designed to hold it. Not because you are too good for them, not because they are bad, but because what God builds for a specific purpose must be handled by specific hands. And He has been waiting to introduce those hands to you. Every room that went silent when you walked in, that was not rejection. That was the environment encountering something it did not have a category for. The silence was not the verdict. The silence was the evidence. Evidence that you carry something rare. Evidence that what God placed in you does not dissolve into existing categories. It creates new ones. The world promotes what fits, what packages cleanly, what can be explained in 30 seconds, but you have never fit the 30-second explanation. You have never been able to package yourself in a way that makes the room comfortable. And chosen one, that is not something to fix. That is something to understand. Because the person God is sending to find you is not looking for the 30-second version of you. They are looking for the full version, the unedited version, the version that the hidden season has been deepening, and they will recognize it the moment they find it. God does not design divine encounters randomly. He designs them the way an architect designs a building, with precision, with purpose, with load-bearing walls placed in exact positions. Everything has a reason. Your season of hiddenness has a reason. The depth that has been growing in you has a reason. The specific pain you have carried has a reason. And the person God is sending was shaped by their own season, their own hiddenness, their own particular kind of depth, in exactly the way that makes them able to stand next to what God placed in you, 2 arrows from different trees, one carved for distance, one carved for precision. God does not waste either one. He puts them in the same quiver, and when they fly together, they hit what neither could reach alone. Chosen one. The arrow God is sending for you was being carved in their own season, while you were being carved in yours. The timing is not random. The preparation is not parallel by coincidence. God has been running 2 preparations that are about to intersect, and the intersection is closer than the silence has made it feel. You were not placed in this hidden season to emerge smaller. You were placed here to emerge more fully, as exactly who God made you. Every layer of impatience burned away in the waiting, that is clarity. Every moment of loneliness that forced you to stop performing for the room, that is authenticity. Every conversation that did not go deep enough, that is discernment. All of it, every piece of this season that has felt like subtraction, has actually been addition. God has been adding to you what only this season could produce. And what He has added is precisely what the right person will see. Not despite the waiting, because of it. Before I pray with you, I need you to do one thing right now, in this moment, before the prayer begins. Type "I receive it" in the comments. Not because you feel it fully yet, not because the evidence is all visible, but because faith always moves before the feeling. Faith is not the response to what you see. Faith is the response to what God said. And God said, "I am sending someone." So receive it. Type "I receive it" and let heaven see a chosen one who believed before they saw. That is the posture God has been waiting for. Let me pray with you now. Not over you, with you, because the one listening to this message is not a passive recipient of someone else's faith. You are a chosen one with a voice that heaven recognizes. And I believe that when we pray together in this moment, across whatever distance separates us, something is released, something is set in motion that was waiting for this very declaration. So pray with me. Father, I come before you today on behalf of the one who found this message. You know exactly who they are. You know the hidden place they have been sitting in. You know the weight they have been carrying without the right person beside them. You know the conversations they have had that never went deep enough. You know the rooms they have walked into where no one could quite hold the full measure of what you placed inside them. And Father, you also know what you promised. You promised that your timing is not abandonment. You promised that what you prepare, you also send the right hands to hold. You promised that those who wait upon you shall renew their strength. So today, we are standing on that promise. We are not begging for something you withheld. We are receiving something you already decided. Father, send the one you have prepared. Send them with the discernment to recognize what the world overlooked. Send them with the patience to sit in the silence that others ran from. Send them with a specific kind of depth that meets this chosen one exactly where they are. And to the one listening, give them the grace to receive it when it arrives. Give them the eyes to see it, even when it comes in unexpected packaging. Give them the faith to say yes to what you are doing before the full picture is visible. Lord, I ask that you confirm in their spirit today that the hidden season is completing, that the roots you have grown in the quiet are now strong enough to hold the weight of what comes next, that the cave of Elijah is giving way to new instructions, that the still small voice is already speaking the next chapter. Amen. Take a deep breath. Let the weight of that prayer settle in your spirit. For months, you have been trying to make sense of the silence. You have been asking if you made a mistake, if you went the wrong way, or if God simply moved on to someone else. But right now, I want you to feel the truth of this. You are still here. You survived the quiet. You survived the nights when the silence was deafening. You survived the rooms where you had to hold your breath just to avoid being too much. You did not break. You did not compromise the depth God gave you just to belong to a shallow season. And that means the enemy's plan to make you settle has failed. You are entering the next chapter with your depth intact. You are entering it ready. Chosen one. I want to come back to where we started. At the beginning of this message, I said there is a difference between being lost and being hidden. Lost means no one knows where you are. Hidden means you were placed there on purpose by someone who knows exactly where you are and has a plan for when you emerge. You were hidden, not forgotten, not overlooked, not disqualified by the waiting. Hidden. And what God hides, He reveals at the right time. Not one moment before it is ready, not one moment after it is needed. At precisely the right time. The cave Elijah sat in was not his ending. It was his briefing room. God met him there, fed him there, gave him new instructions there, and then sent him back out with a mission he could not have carried. Before the cave was not delay. The cave was preparation. And your hidden season, the quiet that has felt so long, has been doing the same work, building in you what the next chapter requires, deepening in you what the right person will recognize, preparing in you what no louder, more visible season could have produced. You are not behind. You are ready. Not perfectly ready, not visibly ready, not in the way the world would measure readiness, but ready in the way that God measures it. And when God declares you ready, the search party stops searching and the encounter begins. Believe that? Not because it feels true today, because He said it. And He does not send someone to find something that was not worth finding. You were worth sending someone for. You have always been worth it. Chosen one. If this message found you today, if something in what I said landed in a place in your spirit that you have not been able to name until now, I need you to do one final thing. Type "Find me" in the comments. It is your declaration, not your location. God already knows your location. It is your posture. It is you saying to heaven, I am here. I am still in the season. I am still trusting. I have not hidden from you. I have been hidden by you. And I believe that distinction matters. Find me. And then subscribe to this channel, not as a transaction, not because of the algorithm, but because if this message found you today, the next one is already being prepared, and there are more words coming that are meant for exactly where you are. God is not done speaking to your season. He has more to say, and I want to be the voice He uses to say it. Subscribe, chosen one, because the God who sent this message today is the same God who will send the next one, and you will want to be here when He does.